So guys, I just finished actually Kingdom Hearts. I thought it was really fantastic, okay? It only had the Toy Story world, but I mean, I thought it was going to be longer, but it was still a very good world to kind of explore. So I'd probably give this game an 8.8 out of 10, I think, yeah.
Sam, I'm sorry to break it to you, but there's actually like 7 or 8 other worlds there, like Pirates of the Caribbean, the Frozen world.
No, I played the whole game. It was just the Toy Story world.
No, there's definitely more worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3, like definitely.
So you're saying that I only played like not even half the game?
Yeah, not even.
Guys, that was just a factual error. I wish to just fix this review. Now I give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, IGN.
Oh boy.
Did an oopsie.
Big oopsie.
Okay, so
Newsom was the first oopsie. Then Ace Combat. Big oopsie. But the biggest oopsie is Resident Evil and only playing half the game.
So, okay. First of all, let's be fair to IGN.
Yeah,
here.
we're just...
This is a beat-up job, but it's good fun, so we're going to do it anyway,
Exactly.
okay?
That's the layman way, really.
This is it. So the story... Let's just set some context for this, okay? Cool. Just so you know how bad this mistake is versus other potential bad mistakes.
Sure.
A few years ago, VG24 previewed Uncharted 4 and they said it felt a bit old and formulaic. Turns out they were actually playing Uncharted 2, which was being remastered for the PS4, and that's why they thought it was old and formulaic.
In amongst its frantic combat, slick parkour, and outrageous action choreography, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End achieves something wonderful.
Now, on the scale of video game critic, video game media mistakes,
yeah,
that's pretty much the worst one I've ever seen.
I mean, I can understand how that might have happened though. Like, you've made a remake, you sat down thinking you're going to be playing number 4, it doesn't even pass your mind that it's a remake of number 2. I totally get it.
That person also said that they were like a hardcore Uncharted veteran.
Oh,
and
just
they
like
said, and they said that they couldn't tell if it was. Oh my god.
Ketchup. 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 Huh. I'm in way over my head.
So this isn't as bad as that, but it is pretty bad.
Pretty damn bad. But it wasn't the first thing that they've done in the recent time.
Correct.
Let's start with Ace Combat, okay?
Yes.
They put out a review and they only played it on the basic bitch controls. Now, anyone that's played Ace Combat knows that if you are playing basic bitch controls, you are pretty much playing like 20% of the game.
It's like Sam mode, essentially.
It's pretty much
there's like
Sam mode
and
without,
regular human
without
mode.
the sexiness, okay?
Correct.
But, you know, and that was the big thing. And then one of the, was it the creative directors?
It was the brand manager
for Ace Combat went
Japanese
to Twitter
dude. Yeah.
in his very broken English, pretty much just saying, you know, you have disappointed me, IGN. How dare you put out this review without playing expert controls, because that's really the whole game. That was the first thing.
Bring great dishonor to IGN.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Seriously, it was quite funny because it's very rare to see a brand manager actually like attack
and
a
be so
publication
vocal
like
about
that.
it. Totally. And then
But their review also, if you go to it, is just been completely pummeled on a number of fronts. The like ratio is pretty disastrous. The whole expert control thing is one thing, but they also just clearly didn't understand what this game was about and how you had to engage it. It wasn't going to hold your hand. It was going to ask you to listen carefully and ask you to like try and like learn by failure. But it seemed like the IGN reviewer was just like, this is too hard, man. It's too unclear.
Too hard equals
it's the Dark
bad
Souls
game.
of flying games. 6 out of 10. It gave it 6.
Yeah.
I think it was actually 7 out of 10. And this is not a 7 out of 10 game. That's a ludicrous score for that game.
Totally.
And so they deserve to be called out on what was a really garbage
But look,
review.
the like ratio on that article was bad, but it's not as bad as Philip Mewson's videos, okay? Philip Mewson was another guy that used to work at IGN, okay? This is a few months back. This is another oopsie for IGN.
It is.
He put out a completely plagiarized Dead Cells review from a guy called something Stick Gaming?
Boomstick Gaming.
Boomstick Gaming, that's right, okay. It blew up in their face.
By focusing on your failures and urging you to experiment each time you do fail.
Weird.
He, of course, got fired. He's gone back to YouTube now. He's trying to make his YouTube career happen. Just look at his videos. All the like ratio says it all.
It's like Thick Boy making an appearance
Exactly
on his channel.
right.
That's how bad that like ratio is.
Exactly right, everybody. But that pretty much brings us up to speed for Resident Evil 2, the remake.
Okay, so the way this works with Resident Evil is there's actually 2 parts to the game. And what you do is you play through with one character and you get you see an ending, okay? And then you have to play through with the other selectable character, and you play through similar parts of the game, like it's the same maps and whatever, but everything's been jumbled around, so all the puzzles are different and all that sort of stuff. And you also have completely new story elements brought into it. New cutscenes, new playable sections, new endings, new bosses, new everything, right? So it's like, and it's also a very differently tuned game mode as well. Like it's much harder.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot more tension in it, all that sort of stuff, right?
Definitely.
So it's a vastly different experience on that second playthrough.
Not only that, I think it's, the weapons are different. There's a lot of things that are different, but the big issue, I will say, is for IGN, because obviously their brains weren't working that day, is there's 2 options. There's the new game 2, and then there's the new game. They've obviously just pressed new game, right? Yeah. And they've just played the game again with the other gender, okay? And they thought, hey, this is just the same game. You can just do it twice over with a different gender. Not understanding that you could actually do new game 2, which pretty much gives you a completely new different experience.
And this is what he literally said in the review, which has now been removed from the review.
Conveniently changed.
I beat the story from Leon's point of view in 8 hours, which felt a little short, but I was excited to fire up Claire's campaign and see the fateful evening events unfold from an entirely new perspective. Unfortunately, that's not what we get, at least not when we should. Whoever you play as in the main game mode, Resident Evil 2 will be largely the same when you finish and switch to the other person. Most of the same events happen and Leon and Claire take extremely similar paths, meet the same people, solve the same puzzles, and fight the same bosses. This was a bit of a bummer for me.
Well, what do you think?
This is a joke, right? I mean, this is the stupidest thing I've ever read.
Then what they also did was, this is another point. They scored the game 8.8 on the basis of, hey, there's only like half of Resident Evil here, okay? And then when they added this and they apparently played the second half, they changed the score to 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
so apparently the entire second half of the game is only worth 0.2 in the IGN score rating
reality,
scale.
Yeah, if we work off that logic, it really should have been given a 17.6 out of 10.
It
really should have been given a 17.6.
Absolutely.
Where is that? I want to see that now, okay? Jesus. No, but it just, I understand that oopsies occur, okay? Oopsies do occur. But with such a huge title like this, I just don't think IGN right now needs this kind of problems. It seems like every few months things just occur.
This review is by the name Damon Hatfield. Now look, so we all make mistakes. Let's not beat up on the guy. I'm sure that I will make and we will make mistakes like this one day.
I've never made a mistake on this channel,
and I hope that people roast us when they do.
Exactly,
okay?
that's part of the fun.
It is part of the fun.
It's called Laymen Gaming, for fuck's sake.
Right.
Like, we're ready for it.
So this guy has done this in the past as well when he played a game called Pixel Junk, and he said he played it on casual difficulty, and he said, the game feels a little bit unfinished. The developer sort of like clapped back and said, like, dude, did you play it on normal? And then Damon was like, yeah, I did, man. And that he couldn't have played it on normal, because if he had played it on normal, he would have seen that there was actually this section of it that he was asking for that he said was missing in the review, right? So he wasn't really, it seemed like he wasn't being fully straight up about what he had played and what he hadn't. And
he obviously went into panic mode. He's like, oh shit, my credibility down the toilet.
Yeah, I just think you can't review a game on the easiest mode. Like, I really feel like you need to review it at least normal mode and ideally hard mode to be able to really.
I always die
just think
so much on hard mode.
It has to be at minimum normal, because I think if you're reviewing it on easy, you're not really reviewing the game, right? But anyway, this is, as I said, not the first time it's happened to this guy. It is an honest mistake. My heart goes out to him. It really does.
Definitely.
But, like, honestly, he also said in his Resident Evil review that he has fond memories of playing Resident Evil in his dorm back in 1998. Now, how the fuck can you, like, have played Resident Evil 2 and not know that there's an entire second half of the game? Totally. Or how could you have stuffed up the process of getting to it? Because there's clear prompts when you finish that flash up on screen that say, select this mode for new bosses and new story stuff. It literally says it in the menu. How did you get that wrong?
Yeah. Look, he did say dorm, everybody, okay? So, dorm, college years, How much weed was he smoking,
It's
people?
true.
He's probably sitting there going, Resident Evil, what? Yeah, I played that one.
For me personally, I think this actually speaks to a larger issue with IGN's review capabilities, you know? And the reason I think they have so much scrutiny on them is because they are the largest website by traffic when it comes to video games.
Totally.
And simultaneously, I think their entire review process is garbage at this point, where you know, they have this huge infrastructure set up. All these people work for them, but they get one person to play and review a game. Other people can play the game, but their review process is very much about, like, you have this, and one person like gives their opinion on it.
Yeah.
If you've got this massive infrastructure of people and all these resources, and they're all being paid to fucking sit around full time. I don't mean sit around doing nothing, but like, let's be real here. I'm sure these guys aren't working 24-hour days. Like they've got time to be able to play a video game. If independent YouTube sites can do this and do it better than they are doing it, how can they not pool their resources to create better outcomes? Like their Grist review, for example, that came out recently, like 6.5. Game is a visual masterpiece. 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, no, I just think the biggest problem they have right now, it's not resonating with people because they jump on YouTube and they feel like it's their mate telling them what they think of a game. They jump on IGN, it does feel like a corporate review, and it does lose that that personal touch that a lot of people want when they, you know, when they want to know, do I buy this game? Do I put my $80 down? You know?
Yeah.
So
totally.
that goes a long way.
I feel like the whole independent YouTube scene with like Angry Joe and ACG and Racevic and the Ant-Man and like all these fucking cool reviewers that do their shit really well.
Some of them are cool.
Some of them are good.
Some of them.
But like that scene has evolved so much.
Totally.
I think it's become
so
such a
rapidly too.
Very fairly, but like it's a real staple
5
now.
years, I reckon.
Something like that, yeah.
You know, and I just don't think that these media outlets
Correct.
are really able to catch up or really see what's coming.
They have not evolved. If you are a big like flagship website or masthead website like IGN Games, you know, you can't just say, well, we're going to give this game to one person, see what they think, and that's that. Like, think about how you can evolve your review process to arrive at better outcomes.
Sure.
Because right now, IGN reviews are such a meme. Like, everyone just goes to the comment section just to like pile on IGN. Because they're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You know what I mean?
But the thing is, like, if you're really to ask the question, how do they step up their game? How do they become more relevant? Or how do they really compete with YouTubers? Because already now we're seeing that they really are, you know, they really are losing to YouTubers in terms of reviews. And in 5-10 years, I reckon we're just going to see that continuing, and it's going to get harder and harder for them.
For sure.
I don't know if there really is an answer, because I think they're always going to have a problem with mistrust in terms of if you go to YouTube, you don't feel like they're being, you know, kind of... There's not advertisement space getting paid for on the right of a fucking YouTube review. And that's the problem with IGN, or that's the problem with Kotaku, for instance. They feel like they're in bed with the publishers or the developers sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality, and I'm not saying that they can't move away from that. I'm just saying it's difficult, I think, to separate themselves from that.
I agree. Either way, I do feel as though some sort of evolution is needed with IGN's editorial process, because I think of all the major like I think you have sort of like Eurogamer and Polygon and Kotaku that I don't personally like reading, because I find there's so much politics injected into their reviews most of the time that I can't really read them.
Definitely.
And
there's
then
such
I
a
think
narrative
there's
being
something
pushed.
Yeah, and then I think there's stuff like, you know, GameSpot, which is pretty good most of the time, Game Informer, pretty good, IGN, I think not great, you know, and I feel like if you're going to be that sort of publication and just focus on video games, then I think you need a better approach to combat what's going on in the marketplace, because other people are gaining relevance, you're losing relevance, and you've got the resources to fight that, and I think it'd be good if you could spend some of those resources to do that.
Totally, and I think that they'll always be valuable, because a lot of the YouTubers out there that, you know, get gaming news are from these from these media outlets.
For sure.
So they'll always be relevant. They just really need to find out, you know, how do they sharpen the tool, and how do they actually make sure that they're relevant also in the review space.
Sam said tool. And with that, ladies and gentlemen,
we
wrap it
finished
up.
our review.
That was our Kingdom
review.
Hearts 3 review.
Yes.
Hope you loved.
Play the Toy Story. It was great.
Really good Toy Story.
An hour and a half
game.
of just bliss, everybody.
Perfect.
I give it a 9 out of 10. See you, fam.
I'm Mr. King Dice. I'm the gamest in the land. I never play nice. I'm the devil's right-hand man. I can't let you pass, 'cause 'cause you ain't done everything. Bring me those contracts, come on.
By focusing on your failures and urging you to experiment each time you do fail.